Welcome back, everyone, to We Interrupt This Program, the show where we ask questions of our media because they're certainly asking questions of us. I am a film and television nerd, Vern Cooper.
And I am a family researcher
Yeah.
and theory nerd. I'm like, is that what I am? I'm not sure.
You definitely always come out with some theory thing that, like, just pins the thing right together. You rejoin us on a sad day, viewers and listeners. We are covering the last episode of season 2 of The Last of Us, which has been a labor of love. It's kind of the reason we got into this, so it's meaningful to me in that way.
Yeah.
And it's also just a really good. It's a really fertile. It's a weird way to put it. There's a lot to be gained from analyzing this in the context of family and development and also technical film production things.
Yeah, I was really interested to see the episode because you texted me while you were watching, and you was just like, it was stressful. So I see what you mean. It was stressful indeed. It was stressful.
Okay, so first let's talk about the fact that now I'm the psychic one.
Or the psychic one. And I was like, did you know? Did you know what was going to happen?
No, I did not.
Yeah, no, you are the psychic one.
I was hoping to be wrong about that one.
Yeah.
But then it was because you had asked the question, are Ellie and Jesse going to have problems once it comes out that Dina is pregnant? And that started to manifest, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, how does the episode open again? Let's try to be chronological for 5 minutes and then we'll fail at it.
Yeah, we'll fail miserably. Ellie goes back to no. We start off with Jesse
Dina.
and Dina.
Yeah, she's been shot through the leg with an arrow by the scars in the escape from the place where the smart infected were, which apparently we're just not going to spend much time with at all. I was thinking they were going to be a bigger part of this.
Probably be a bigger part in season 3.
I hope so.
Don't you think?
Yeah, they're really, really interesting. They make their escape, and what we know from the last episode episode 5, I suppose, is that Ellie takes a long detour to hunt Nora and try to torture Abby's whereabouts out of her. The tension between Jesse and Dina, because I know that we said this, we were like, eventually she's going to have to tell him.
Yeah.
But he kind of figured it out because she was dropping hints.
Yeah. I can't die, and she wouldn't take whiskey for the pain. Yeah. Apparently, Jesse was seeing somebody.
Yeah. And nobody knew. What did you? So there was a whole lot of like opportunities to view characters in new lights in this episode. Did anybody did you have any like shift in perspective on this episode?
I think yes. Okay, so one, I think I saw Jesse differently, and I think that they kind of make it obvious. We've even talked about how Jesse in some ways is the more mature one, while Ellie is the one who needs to grow up a little bit. And I think we kind of got to see that a little bit. But also Jesse is a little self-righteous.
Yes, he was insufferable.
Yeah, just a tad bit.
Yeah. And Ellie also was infuriating. I kept just and we've said this all along. When is she gonna wake up? When is she gonna realize that if she takes one more step? Did she finally take that step? I suppose let's go back to what we were saying. Like Ellie finally comes back to the theater, and Dina's asleep. Jesse has bandaged her up after pushing this arrow all the way through her leg. And Ellie comes in and is just like, where's Dina? So Jesse is starting to really put together that things have changed between them since the last time he saw them. And he wants to know where Ellie's been.
Yeah, and Ellie tells him, right?
Ellie tells Dina. I don't think she ever actually told Jesse.
Okay.
But he knew that she was on this mission. So to him it was probably 6 and 1/2 dozen the other, right? It doesn't matter what the specifics were. It's just that she was prioritizing that over keeping herself and Dina safe.
Yeah.
And Ellie has fucked around so much that she has begun to find out in horrible ways.
Horrible ways. Like, don't know. Like, how she gets herself out of these things that she gets herself into.
Just luck.
I mean, you're just at the whim of the universe.
She should have died so many times.
Yeah,
She should have died those with the scars. You know, it's like, who's gonna save
yeah.
her now?
Who's gonna save her now? Cause Joel ain't coming. Tommy ain't coming.
Yeah, and we kind of called this as well, that she was going to have to face Dina and admit that she knew a little bit more than she was letting on, and that also she tortured someone. She tortured a woman.
And left her. When Ellie said, I was like, Ellie, you left this woman who is in bad shape, breathing in spores, like
And then,
agony.
yeah, and then think about the lives that she does take later.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
Like, she just could not have handled this worse.
I mean, but going down this road was just, there was no way she was handling it,
Mhm.
you know?
This is where the road she's been on has led. There's so many heartbreaking things about this episode. First of all, is when she does tell Dina finally the truth, that she knew a little bit more about these folks. Like, you could see Dina something kind of spread open between them a little bit. Because that's an admission of a kind of not betrayal, but like,
Manipulation.
yes,
You
exactly.
you left out some important information.
That's a red flag.
It's a red flag.
And Dina's about to have a child with this person. Like, she immediately, in my mind, goes to evaluating the risks of someone as flawed as Ellie as a co-parent.
Yeah.
And so this
Yeah.
whole time we've been saying, Ellie, wake up, you're about to lose all of these things. You cannot have both of these things.
No, you can't.
I think that Dina did eventually sort of reaffirm her commitment to Ellie by giving her the bracelet.
Yeah, yeah. That was like, okay, we're okay. You can go. You
Yeah.
can go. We'll be all right.
It wasn't happy, but it was, sometimes not every day is sunshine and roses with our partners, but at the end of the day, they are our person
Yeah.
until they're not. Again, like taking those steps down the road. So Jesse, what are they going out to do? Jesse and Ellie. Oh, they're going looking for,
For Tommy.
yeah,
Yeah. That was my impression.
yeah, because they heard on the radio that there was a
Mm-hmm.
sniper and they
Mm-hmm.
assumed it was Tommy. What was Tommy
Mm-hmm.
doing?
He probably got caught up.
Was just trying to take him out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wasn't as worried for Tommy as I was for Jesse. I was pretty certain that Jesse was going to die, but I also was like, Tommy could go too. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
really, the only person who has to stay alive is Ellie, and that's only so that this narrative can continue.
Yeah. So are we sure that he didn't die?
Tommy?
Yeah.
No, we're not. Not at this point in the show. We're not positive that he is alive or not, because there's no telling how closely it'll follow the game.
Yeah.
Ellie and Jesse go out to look for Tommy, and things immediately, just the chaos that is all around this environment. None of them has ever been in an environment this chaotic without some sort of parent figure. I thought the scene with the Scar boy was interesting.
Mm. What'd you think it was interesting about it?
Just the two orientations. So, like, the one that Ellie had on it and the one that Jesse had. That was a moment where we saw those two characters react in ways that maybe we wouldn't have expected.
So when you said the scar boy, I thought you meant the baby,
Oh,
the
no, no.
one that was like, meh.
Yeah, that was horrifying as well. Yeah. No, the first
So
one.
horrifying.
And I think the first boy has committed some sort of act of terrorism, right? So
I don't know.
he's done something and they're chasing him, but Jesse is like, he's not one of ours, so we don't risk our lives to save him.
Are we clear on what the wolves are doing?
They were preparing to attack the Scars village. So
Okay.
that's why Isaac and Colonel Park, I think, that's what they're talking about. Is like, it's kind of coded as a crusade, but also an occupation, a righteous military action, kamikaze as well, right? Like, they're going to die in the process. But yeah, they're gathering up, I guess, a bunch of munitions and things, and they load them onto those boats and go and blow up the Scars.
That's what happens when Ellie is in the forest. Okay.
Yeah.
I can see it now. So when the Scars were putting everything into the boat, they were going to blow up the village. Okay.
Now, the wolves were loading up
The
the boats.
wolves. The
Yeah.
wolves.
And that's really interesting, is like, Ellie is she's totally oblivious to the magnitude of what's going on around her. She does not fucking care. that
Mhm.
an actual war, a genocide, is a cyclical kind of thing, is being perpetrated around her. She's so myopically focused on
Mhm.
Abby to the point that she abandons the search for Tommy in the middle. She and Jesse go up to the top of this tower and she sees what Nora was trying to tell her, which is the Ferris wheel at the aquarium. Nora had said the words either wheel or whale to her.
Both of them.
Yeah,
That was my impression, is she said both of
that
them.
makes sense. Yeah. So Ellie catches a glimpse of this while she and Jesse are in the middle of something really serious and she just abandons it.
Mhm.
She's like, no,
Mhm.
I'm sorry. I got to go do this thing. She's only survived this far because people keep showing up to save her ass. That was, I think, to me, the most frustrating piece about Ellie's, um, like, operation in this episode is like she could not grasp the fact that she's putting everybody in danger by simply refusing to let this go.
Yeah.
It started to feel a little unbelievable to me.
In what way?
Maybe this is the a bias of maturity, but I really struggle of like believing that anyone could be that selfish and that kind of stupid and callous and just not caring about their loved ones, putting them in danger over and over and over again to continue pursuing this one mission.
Well, I mean, but I also think in that scene that one of the things that she talks about is her community. Like Joel, so she, I feel like she feels that she's justified in her actions because this was done to Joel, so I am doing this. So, I mean, I think in terms of like what you said, maturity. Like we see things a bigger picture, you know. But I think just I mean, and we've talked about this development. Like where she is developmentally, she hasn't been in a place where she needs to put anybody else's needs before her.
That's true. And it keeps working out for her. People keep showing
Right.
up to save her. And the thing that they're working towards in this episode, which I think has been the thing they're working towards through this whole season, is Ellie finally doing something that she can't tolerate, that she
Yeah.
can't stand to have done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was pretty horrifying.
It was horrifying. It was so horrifying.
So she tells Jesse, like what you were just saying, she is pointing out a hypocrisy within him of his self-righteousness around all his selflessness, but his selflessness only extends as far as the people he deems to be his community. And so Ellie, I think, is trying to deflate this idea that that's the ultimate morality, is to put everybody before yourself. He says after to her after that, he was like, okay, so I hope you make it, I think is what he said.
Yeah.
Did you think that she had persuaded him, or did he just realize that he wasn't going to stop her?
I feel like it was a little bit of both. She feels so passionately about this, I'm not gonna stop her. You know, so I felt like it was kind of both.
You made a good point, and
Mhm.
Jesse is very self-reflective. Like that's one thing that it's such a shame. Like that was something that he really could have mentored Ellie on, and maybe some of it took before he passed. So Ellie then she's like sneaking down to the shoreline to try to get a boat. And I kept maybe the truly frustrating thing about her approach to all of this is just assuming that she would figure it out once she got there. She's like, I'm sure it'll work out. I'm sure it'll work out.
When I tell you, like, it's kind of anxiety inducing, right? Like you, okay, so first of all, like you're just in the middle of nowhere during this pandemic. Like, let's just put that one out there.
Hmm.
Then you're gonna get into this boat that you hope starts.
You hope you can run.
Right. And you hope to go somewhere. You don't know what is over there. Like it was really stressful.
Yes.
And then she not only did it once, she did it twice.
She got back in the boat. That just her commitment and they're really hitting us over the head with this. Like
It's really hitting us over the head. Like,
she cannot be deterred from this like obsession with killing Abby. So that there's a detour on this boat trip. She like hits a big wave because the storm of the century is there, and she washes up on a beach where the scars grab her. This is an interesting like moral reframing because she was the one who was trying to save one of their kids.
Yeah, yeah. So interesting, right? And she's pleading with this child like, you will see me because I saw you. Like it, it's so okay, social commentary. What can that be saying social commentary wise?
The child, is that what you mean? The one.
I mean, this whole situation, like the reframing of that. So Ellie trying to save somebody, but then when the situation was reversed, the child in that situation wouldn't try to save Ellie.
Well,
In fact, he was advocating for
yeah.
Ellie's death.
That seemed to actually be its role. Like this was almost like a test. This was an instructive moment for that child. Like, what do
Yeah.
we do? They asked the kid. Because how did Ellie become what she is? How did Joel become what he is? The way that we condition
Mm,
and we teach certain reactions to those who are not like us.
yeah.
And so I think it's playing on that same theme, the same thing that Ellie
Yeah.
articulated to Jesse. It's like you would only extend that to people that you have decided are like you, that you've
Yeah.
decided are your kin.
Yeah.
In a war, nobody is just. Like to fight a war, to be someone who fights a war, the morality that you went in with is not the one that you get to leave with.
I don't know that I can see it from that perspective. I had a friend who texted me today just about like everything that's going on in the world. And this idea that resilience is toxic. Like you say, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. You fall down once, you get up twice, whatever. This whole idea about keep going. But the thing is, I am fighting and I'm struggling. And is anybody else expected to be resilient? Is anybody else expected to fall down 8 times and get up 9 times? Resilience seems toxic. So I say that because I feel like I'm in survival mode. So being in survival mode, again, if you're a nail, everything feels like a hammer. So then when it comes to this idea about morality in war, I'm just an ant in this anyway. So, I
You're
don't know
just
if
a
that
what?
makes an ant. Like,
Oh, an ant.
I'm going to get caught up in whatever this is anyway. So,
The people who exist in war are
mhm.
not those who are its beneficiaries of whatever its cause is. I don't know why they were trying to kill her though. Like what were they going to kill her for?
What else would you do to an outsider?
Is that what it was? It was just
I
because she was an
mean,
outsider.
that's the impression I got. And thinking about what I just said, like I also think about that when it comes to Ellie too. Like Ellie didn't have a dog in this fight, She doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Outsider in so many different ways.
Hmm.
Like
She does
just in
not
this
have a community. Like,
no, no. Like and she is not invested in this except for the only person in this that should die is the person that wronged her. She doesn't know what these folks are fighting for.
mhm.
So they're just also talking about developmentally and what she sees. Like we understand that there's a lot that she doesn't know about the world.
All she can see is what she feels. The fact that Abby and her friends are in this like exponentially larger conflict and there's all these stakes going on for them that she's never experienced before. She's never been in war. That isn't going to factor in for her. She's still going to make herself a problem for them.
Mhm.
And I don't know what they were planning to do because it was clear that when she found them, when she got to this aquarium, she goes in there and she finds Owen and Mel. Were they like talking about plans? Were they doing something?
Yeah, I felt like they were about to go somewhere.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
it didn't feel like they were on Isaac's side anymore, though, either, because they weren't with Isaac.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I wonder if there's yet another layer of this wartime thing going on with them as like rebels or something. Um,
Yeah.
they seem to be playing their own angle here.
Hmm.
They were. Now they're all dead except for Abby and Manny. When Ellie is sneaking through this aquarium thing, I was on edge the whole time.
Also, it seems like they're setting up for us something that happened. being able to see the fresh blood, the things that Ellie sees when she's
Yeah.
walking through the aquarium.
What's that?
I don't know. It's like they're setting something up for us for this next season.
Yeah, something crazy went down there. That
Yeah.
reminded me of David in the first, but they wouldn't be eating people, you know. So what were they doing? Did you notice when we see Abby, she has been strangled too.
Oh, I did not notice
Yeah,
that.
she's got rope burns around her neck. So, and I don't, it could be Isaac did that to her or the scars, but it would be crazy if she got away from the scars, if she just happened to escape from them too. I mean, but yeah, I saw that. I was like, she's been tortured or something.
Yeah. There's another piece here that both Ellie and oh, what's her name?
Abby.
Abby.
I didn't know who you meant.
Yeah, yeah. Abby are products of what somebody else did. This started because of the decision that Joel and Marlene made, right? Like
Yeah.
Marlene made the decision that Ellie was going to be sacrificed for the cure. Joel made the decision that no, he was going to save Ellie. So then they're going about their lives making decisions based on what somebody else did.
Yeah. And in a much less literal way, that is kind of how we are products of the people that came before us.
Yeah.
It's just theirs is on such a level of violence. And when you talk, so I was talking about like being in survival mode and Ellie being in survival mode and not having community. Jackson Hole would want her. Do you get the feeling that she feels like a part of Jackson Hole without Joel
I,
there?
no, I don't. I don't.
I didn't either, but I didn't know if it's because that's how I feel. I'm a trans person living in America right now. And I feel like this is kind of what you were talking about earlier too. I don't feel like any community is mine because it never ever feels like there's going to be a place where I can feel secure that everybody doesn't want to kill me. Like I can't let down my guard.
Right.
And so Ellie is so conditioned to this being on the run. Everybody is a threat. There's something special about her. There's nothing special about me except for the fact that I'm trans. But she's different. She's a liminal body. And the only person who has ever been a barrier between her and all of that is gone now. I don't think she's ever going to feel like she has community.
Well, I think Dina becomes her community, right?
I hope so. Because she's so close to throwing that away.
Yeah.
She's got a family now. I would like to talk to you about this scene with Owen and Mel because of the way it plays out, because it's very different than I think what Ellie wanted. She finally finds herself in a situation with these people, and I think that some different ideas about what needs to happen to these people have entered her mind already because of Nora. Dina had said about Nora, she got what she deserved, and Ellie said, did she? She seemed to kind of question whether Nora deserved to be treated that way.
Yeah.
The way that scene played out with Ellie and Owen and Mel it was messy. It was such chaos.
So chaotic. It was so chaotic.
Because I mean, what were the stakes? She wanted them to tell her where Abby was, and they're not going to do that. Surely she would have known that they wouldn't do that. And I wasn't sure if I believed her about because when Owen said to Mel, "Don't tell her she's going to kill us either way," and she said, "No, I won't." What'd she say?
Yeah, I'm not like you.
Yeah, I'm not like you. Which is
that what she said?
She said something like that, which is a misrepresentation of what they're like because they didn't kill her. They didn't kill her or Dina. So she's reduced them to straw men. But did you believe her though when she said that? Did you think that she didn't actually want to kill them?
I didn't believe her.
I wasn't sure
but
either.
seeing how she reacted,
Her reaction.
Yeah.
But
they weren't gonna let her go. Like there was no way she was walking out there alive if she didn't kill them.
She created a situation that somebody had to die in, her or them. And so the situation should have never existed. Again, we say this about Ellie all the time. She should have never been there.
Yeah.
But I don't know if she really meant that she didn't want to kill him until she realized that she wished she hadn't killed him.
Yeah.
Did you think she was going to cut out the baby?
I think she was going to try. I mean,
I was in the floor in front of the TV.
There was just so much that could go wrong.
And what do you do with it when you have it?
Right. Are you going to take it back to Jackson Hole with you?
It's going to be dead by the time you get back to the place you...
So bad. It was just so bad. Like, it was just...
And that impossible decision. And the impossible request of Mel to ask her that.
Okay.
Take it out. Okay. And she's trying to describe her, and Ellie just doesn't know what those words mean, and all of this is way more complicated than that. And what do you mean? I can't just cut you open. And so that panic, like of that was actually that felt a little parental to me. The moments when you could feel yourself maturing is encountering one of those impossible decisions, or maybe a younger person or a kid or someone asks you something that you can't fix, or you make a mistake so bad that it ruins everything for
It
someone.
ruins and that's what it did. Also, the context of knowing that that's what's going on with Dina right now, you
That's
know?
the danger.
Yeah, yeah. It feels impossible. And if I had to like sum up what this episode felt like, it felt impossible. Like there was not going to be any outcome that came from this that we were going to be okay with.
Yes. No win scenarios,
Mm-mm,
left, right, and center.
mm-mm,
I know that we brought this up before, but you know how I'm a big Star Trek nerd. There's that test that every captain has to take before they get command of a starship called the Kobayashi Maru. And
mm-hmm.
its whole purpose is a no-win scenario. The way they explained it is you are not prepared for leadership. You're not prepared to be a mentor or leader unless you have faced down a no-win scenario, because you learn the most important things about how you react in a crisis when there's nothing to be done.
There's a wisdom in going through something, right? If Ellie would not have gone on this journey, then would she have felt like she failed Joel? I mean, again, I think what is lost in this doesn't compare to that lesson. Also, I feel like the lesson has potential to impact her in the long run.
What's being introduced is the fact that these interconnected cycles of violence are not indestructible. It's possible for somebody somewhere someday to say, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to seek revenge because it costs my loved ones and the things that I don't want to lose. It would cost me those, and I don't want that. Ellie and Abby are where that's going to come to a head. I actually thought we were not going to see Abby this episode.
Hmm.
So after Mel dies and Ellie blessedly has not cut her open, I was really afraid that she was going to just be elbow deep in Mel's abdomen trying to fish this child out. And I was like, that's so much. We don't have to do all that. Like, you made your point. So she did not do that. And Tommy shows up. Is Tommy like a Joel substitute? How does Ellie feel close to Tommy?
I think so. I think so. I feel like there were tender moments between them. So, yeah, I think Tommy is what she has, the closest thing she has to family right now. Tommy and Dina. So I felt like there were tender moments between them. But I don't know. I don't see Tommy as a Joel.
I mean, it's like your uncle or your aunt.
Right. Yeah, but it will never be your parent.
I think that if it wasn't Tommy who found Ellie in that moment, I don't know if she's coming back from that. I really wonder if she would have just stayed there or
Yeah.
like took her own life or something.
Yeah.
Because just can you imagine the darkness of that situation
She would have eventually gone back. I think she would have found her way back.
and being caught
She's
by the
done it
scar?
before. So you and I was thinking about when we talked last week, one of the things we ended on it was where was she going? And I told you it didn't make sense for me for her to go back. And you were thinking she was going back to the theater. And that's what she ended up doing. She ended up going back to the theater. So I think for me, that's more indication that she would have found her way.
Hmm.
That eventually she would have got up and she would have went back.
Yeah. And she is oriented to returning to Dina and Tommy
Mm-hmm.
and even Jesse. She has a begrudging love and respect for Jesse. They're kind of like siblings to me. Like, I saw them interact with each other the way that me and my brother did when we were kids. Like,
Yeah.
you'd have thought we hated each other 90% of the time. There's this moment that we have between Ellie, Tommy, and Jesse, and they're talking strategy because they're going to leave. They're all packing up. They're going to go back to Jackson Hole. And I was like, If only. I was like, let this. What if this is the end? They just go back to Jackson Hole and Dean has the baby and they all live happily ever after. I hated that scene because I knew that's
Yeah.
not what was going to happen.
Yeah. 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 And then also like this idea of Ellie, like what we learned about Jesse. So Jesse met somebody. He had an opportunity to leave. He didn't leave because who then takes care of Jackson Hole? Who was the next? Also, that's another thing I would say about this particular episode. Who's next in line? Who's coming up next? Who takes over this movement? Who is the next Maria? Who is the next Isaac? And, I wanted to bring this up when we were talking about Abby, but it struck me that is it Sergeant Park?
I think Colonel, but
Colonel
okay.
Park was like, okay, yeah, that was a good thought, but she's not here.
Yeah.
So no, it's not her,
Who
which is
next?
like,
Yeah, next.
yeah, yeah, it's not her because what did she say? She shit the bed or something?
No.
What did she say?
She fucked off, I think is what she said.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You can see where my mind
Yeah.
took it.
It got me there. I knew exactly what you meant. Yeah. Yeah, she said, because she was like, okay, what the fuck? What is it with you and Abby? Like, what is it? She's like, are you in love with her? And he's like, oh, God, no. Okay, sit down, I'll tell you. And so Isaac describes this whole plan he has that Abby is the next in line to lead the wolves. And what he's describing is his perfect leader. He's like, she's got this, she's perfect, and we're going to be dead and stuff. And what like a realistic person sitting in front of him says, except she has chosen not to be here with us in this moment.
Right, right, right. So your ideas are not her ideas,
No longer
right?
valid. Yeah.
Right. So then what does that say about these movements? Like,
If they are not in alignment, that's a good point because this is a moment where that cycle of violence could begin to fray. If a generation or even just one leader in a generation, the person with the right positionality and right skills to say, I don't think that this is what we need to be doing, then that's a place of intervention in the cycle of violence. That's an interruption. That's a
right.
disruption. And so I think that's kind of maybe what they are getting at is this
Mm-hmm,
movement. It's no longer serving its community. It's simply controlling it.
mm-hmm.
I don't know enough about the scar. It's weird. Like I think we've seen about the same amount. No, we've seen more of the wolves than the scars, but I really don't know what the scars' whole thing is. It appears to be purely ideological. They don't have goals besides just making a point of some kind.
But oh, okay, so then my question would be, why would someone with military power, with the access to things that the wolves have access to, need to fight with somebody who seems to be out of their league just when it comes to the resources that they have, Like the wolves are in the city, the scars are in the forest. The wolves have access to tanks and guns. The scars have access to bows and arrows. Like, there seems to be this disconnect just in terms of like resources that they have available to them. So, what's the use in fighting? Why are we fighting?
I think the very first scene we get with Isaac and the Seraphite that he's torturing tells us as much as we know, right? This is the most information we get. Isaac is worried about his numbers dropping. He has
Mm-hmm.
military might. He has all the things you just described, but he perhaps fears if he loses those things, does he also lose the resources that he's able to control?
Mm-hmm.
One of those resources are his people. So there's this theorist named Louis Althusser who talked about how system justifying rhetorics work and how the status quo is actually perpetuated. And he has these two, he called them state apparatuses. One is ideological and one is repressive. So a repressive state apparatus is a military force or a police force, an overt show of I control you, therefore you will do what I say. It's fundamentally weaker than an ideological state apparatus like church. Church is the classic example of an ideological state apparatus. It convinces you, its subject, to do the things it wants you to do because you believe in it. But I think they're
It's
ultimately
so
just
heavy.
I know.
It's so when I tell you I feel like I'm like been like this.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I hardly drew breath during this episode.
Yeah, it's so heavy. Like and I think I can laugh about this now It was a stressful episode.
Yeah. Who's going to be the leader of Jackson Hole after Tommy now? Because,
Ellie.
yeah. And so we haven't really. The thing that happens in this episode that I like knew it was coming, but it hurt so much. Jesse and Ellie, they just had this moment where Jesse says, I know that you would come for me if I was out here struggling.
Yeah.
And Ellie said that she absolutely would. And then they hear Tommy fighting with somebody. And they both draw their guns and they run up there and they bust through the door. And Jesse is just in an instant.
I think I'm still in denial that he's actually
From the
dead.
back. We saw this from the back. It was so violent and shocking.
Yeah, I think I'm still in denial. Like, because the way we go back to day one at the end of the episode, a part of me is like, okay, what happened didn't actually happen. So Jesse's still alive.
Yeah,
Like, he's
like,
not dead.
no, it's not that kind of universe. I felt the young Manzino's performance, like, he hasn't had a lot to do, right? Jesse is very much a one-note character. There's the occasional fun scene or something, and he's just all he does is walk around and be handsome a lot of times. In this moment, he had to physically perform because we don't see his face. It is all his body because we're behind him. There wasn't blood splatter or anything. We heard this sound and his body does this like crazy spasm thing and just collapses to one side.
Yeah.
It was so violent and so traumatizing. And then Ellie jumps under a thing, and here's Abby holding Tommy at gunpoint. I know Caitlin Deaver is not built anything like the video game character or whatever. She was still towering over this scene. Just her posture, the way she was holding that gun at Tommy, the way that they had her angled to be looking at Ellie but still like threatening Tommy. She was just in control in that scene.
Yeah. Yeah, she definitely was. She was in control. It's also kind of amazing. So, talking about the production side of things, about how they can convey that with their bodies, with their affect, with camera angles, all of these different things, all of the things that they needed to put in place. So we knew who was in control of that situation.
Because physically, these two anyway, Ellie and Abby, are actually pretty equally matched. I'm sure Abby is better trained and has been through more hardcore shit,
Yeah.
but she's still in control of the situation because one, she's just killed Jesse, and that's really messed Ellie up. And Ellie, I think, is really in a place of trauma after having done what she did to Owen and Mel, and then here immediately is their friend Abby confronting her about it. That we talk about your a nightmare. Like, why did you kill my friends? And the answer is oops.
And the answer is oops.
The Abby says something though that Ellie has also said about herself when she talked to Joel, because Abby said, I let you live and you wasted it. So this is more along the lines of Ellie feeling like her life doesn't mean anything. It doesn't amount to anything. Who is she if not the cure for the fungus or avenging Joel? Like, what is her identity? Who is she? There's a miniature standoff where Abby tells Ellie to throw away her gun and stand up, and she does it immediately. Tommy's like, no, don't do that, and she does it instantly. Ellie has an affect in this scene that is unlike one she's had in others. She's panicking. She's extremely tearful. None of that puffed up badass is in there anymore.
I think just the cost of the day has weighed on Ellie. Like, she has seen enough death in that day, caused enough death. Yeah. I mean, if we gonna be honest.
I think that this is someone who's looking at the reality of a situation for the first time.
Yeah.
This is part of her path to who she's going to be. And now it's time to really face some consequences. And so all we know about the end of the episode is that Abby fires her weapon in Ellie's direction. And we cut to black, and Ellie pleads for her life. If that actually wasn't the end, that's the end of that particular narrative.
Yeah. Yeah.
The last couple of episodes on this particular mission have been a process of us disidentifying with Ellie, of distancing the viewer from Ellie and her decisions and her priorities, of making us question her goals, her capabilities. Does she even really love these people that she's with? So that we can then switch over to borrow the perspective of Abby. who we're about to spend the next several episodes we're going to spend basically with Abby and learning what it's like for her in Seattle.
Hmm.
Is day one in Seattle literally day one? Like when they went there from after Salt Lake City?
That's what I think. Yeah, that was my
Okay.
impression. Oh no, I not day one from Salt Lake City. I thought day one since Ellie
So
was there.
it's coterminous. Okay, that makes more sense.
That's what I was thinking. That it was, you know,
Okay.
and just from the perspective of the day one that we saw, like if
Yeah.
we're gonna ground this in something, we're gonna ground it in the day one that I am familiar with.
We're going to learn what happens to Abby to make her do whatever it is she and Owen and Mel were up to when Ellie tracks them down. And I'm really interested in that because I think that that's going to tell us some things about the questions we were raising earlier of like what happened to this system, like what has gone wrong in this system that people are losing faith in it.
Right, right. But then also, life stops for no one, right? So they're in the middle of doing whatever it is that they're doing. And here comes this decision that they made. Here comes karma. Is karma the word we're going to use? Here comes consequence.
Yeah, or just Newton's third law.
Yeah.
Did uh did the season do it for you? Did it give you the things you hoped it would?
Gave me the things that I hoped it would.
Yeah.
And I think it set us up to be in an okay place for the next season. We weren't, and you were right. We got a cliffhanger. We didn't get a resolution, but I think, I got my Pedro.
Yeah.
And, and I got to see their relationship. I got to see, and then I also got to see the resolution. We got the answer to the question, did Ellie know? We got to see her wrestle with it.
Yeah.
So, I feel like it was complete. It did what it needed to do. Like it answered every question that I needed answered,
And it raised some
except,
new ones.
yeah, except the big one. But I feel like that one, and the big one, which is, what will Ellie do? Will Ellie stop this cycle?
I think what's going to be interesting is that it's going to be a fight slash negotiation between Ellie and Abby on this. These two opposing, unstoppable forces. It's going to have to be either they both destroy each other or they mutually agree to disrupt this cycle. Yeah, I really loved it, but it was work.
It was work. It was work. It was emotional. It was emotional labor.
I woke up thinking about that episode this morning.
Really?
Yeah, just how it felt to be there with Ellie when she's learning these things. And these are things that some people in real life have to learn. And so that is always whenever that we're depicting something like the cycle of violence on television, I'm always aware of this is someone's real experience. There's
Yeah.
not monsters running around everywhere, but someone somewhere has experienced something like that. Well, what are we gonna do now?
We got the will.
We can't decide how to spend our time from now on. So we decided to just take the work out of it.
Yeah.
And so we are gonna.
It makes me think of that Journey song, The Wheel in the
The
Sky.
wheel in the sky keeps on turning.
I'm gonna have to listen to that.
So we have some options loaded into a wheel here.
Uh-huh. And these are things that we've talked about. So, Lovecraft Country, and we talked about some of these things because of this idea that you brought up a couple of weeks ago about monsters are more than just monsters.
Hmm.
So then we talked about different monster movies or television shows.
Yeah, yeah, and so Lovecraft Country would be really interesting based on it's based on this iconic writer. So many Lovecraft fans out there, but it sets it in this Jim Crow era and explores it through the experiences of these black characters. And so that would just be really exciting to do. We chose a couple of random monstery movies like Warm Bodies to
Yeah,
look at relationships of
yeah.
different bodies, people who different bodies, like what kind of metaphors can be got there.
You said you haven't seen Warm
I
Bodies.
haven't seen Warm Bodies.
And I think of it, and I think this is what it is. It's a retelling of Romeo and Juliet.
That makes sense. And I love that kind of thing. I love like retelling. I think Clueless on the short list of my favorite movies, Clueless is on it, believe it or not. I just fucking
Really?
love that movie.
Which one is that, Emma?
Yeah, it's Emma. Yeah. And I also like Emma.
Yeah.
Wild Robot is on here because it is my it's a comfort film for me, and it's an incredible movie about chosen family, accommodations, understanding how to give people what they need to be members of a community. Ebony, you picked Lost Boys.
Yeah, I picked Lost Boys. So we recently did Sinners, and when I think of iconic vampire movies, I think about Lost Boys.
Yeah.
You know, like Lost Boys was of my childhood, and there's this meme that's like my introduction to bad boys. I had the biggest crush on Kiefer Sutherland
Oh yeah, he was everything in that movie.
and Jason Patrick. Like, yeah. So
Mr.
yes.
Jawline. I put on One of Them Days on here, the Issa Rae film starring Keke Palmer and SZA, just because it really tickled me, and it looks at some contemporary iterations of power and influence through a lens that I found really refreshing. And it's not my lens, so I really love that. I appreciate those moments. And I also picked Tucker and Dale versus Evil. This is a cult classic. It's going on 20 years old now, but it is evergreen for me. This horror movie about cabin in the woods slasher killer who done it, who's the bad guy, but it is a comedy. And Ebony, you chose Imitation of Life.
Yes, I chose Imitation of Life. It is one of my favorite movies. So it's actually of a remake of a 1930s something movie. So basically it's about, when I was a child, I think one of the main storylines is about a woman who passes for white. But then for me, there's also so much like watching it as an adult, watching it as an adult who's lost a parent. There's also this piece about that, about mother-daughter relationships that I think is really
Mm-hmm.
important.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so it's one of my favorite movies of all time. And I am real judgy about it. So if you watch it and don't like it, don't tell me because I will judge you.
I can already tell that I'm gonna love it
Okay.
just based on what you just said. So I was actually thinking like, how have I missed this movie? But one of the reasons I love movies and TV is because I get to go. I didn't grow up with these, right?
Hmm.
I grew up in a trailer park in a coal mining town. We had public broadcasting, and that was it. And there weren't movie theaters where we lived, and so all of my learning about pop culture started in my 20s.
Mm.
So yeah, there's a lot of stuff I've missed out on.
Hmm.
I chose Oculus, which is, I think, one of my favorite Mike Flanagan films. A lot of people would know him from the Flaniverse. He did Follow the House of Usher, Midnight Mass, Bly Manor, and Hill House. Is it The Haunting
Oh,
of?
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so this is he mostly did movies before that, but Oculus is just creepy, and there's so much interesting stuff in there about how we perceive ourselves and our family members. And then another TV show, we put Supernatural on here. So basically, how this is going to work is I'm going to spin. If it lands on one of the TV shows,
Supernatural.
what?
I gotta talk about
Okay.
Supernatural. So Supernatural for me is kind of where the idea for where our podcast came from.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, because there was a point I used to do like my annual supernatural watchings, and I start from the first episode and watch the entire season. And it
Dang.
usually takes me, I know, it takes me a couple of months to do that. I haven't done that in a while, but then I started writing down themes that I saw, and like I just kind of had this idea that maybe one day I would do this. So yeah,
Okay.
that's kind of how we ended up.
All right. Perfect. And I have never seen a single episode of Supernatural. So yes, this is going to work. So each of these has two slices.
So we're gonna spin.
Yeah, I'm going to spin. All right. You want to count me down?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What will it be?
Oh, I thought we were going to get Imitation of Life for a minute.
Tucker and Dale
Okay.
versus Evil. Okay.
All right. Well, this is all dependent on where these are streaming.
Right. I was thinking about that too.
I mean, I have it. I can get it to you if you need it.
Should we do another spin just to have the next one in the queue?
Okay, we can do that. Let me hide this one so that it doesn't hit it again. Yeah.
Okay, Tucker and Dale.
And that's a short one, and so it's pretty easy watch. All right, we're gonna hit it again. Oh,
Oh,
Lovecraft
look at that.
Country. Yeah.
Look at that.
All
Okay.
right. Look at
Okay.
God. Okay. Awesome.
Okay, so Lovecraft Country is next.
Mm-hmm. Sweet.
Okay. We got a plan.
Yeah, we gonna do it.
We got a plan.
All
Who's
right.
in
Well,
Tucker and Dale?
it is Alan Tudyk and Tyler Labine, two white dudes. You will recognize Alan Tudyk from
Oh yeah.
yeah,
I know Firefly.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Firefly. We should put Firefly on there. I would do
We
Firefly
should.
with
We
you.
should.
I
We
love
definitely
that
should.
one. But yeah, he does a lot of voice acting. He played Hey Hey in Moana and the android from Rogue One, the Star Wars story. Okay, anyway. So next we're gonna watch Tucker and Dale versus Evil, and we're gonna start Lovecraft Country. I haven't seen Tucker and Dale versus Evil probably in 10 years, so that's pretty cool. And I never did get to start Lovecraft Country because I lost my Max. I have it again.
Okay.
We're good now.
Yeah.
Well, if you are interested in seeing those things, join us next time. Subscribe, like, tell your friends, put us on your syllabus, whatever. Somebody said they were gonna do that. Yeah.
We would come in and do Zoom meetings. Like, depending on where you are, we might come to your classroom. So
Contract out. Yes. Join us next time on We Interrupt This Program.